Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. We're doing another 8-4 Magic Origins draft. Opened Jace's Sanctum. Not the most exciting card. I think the real choices here are Naturalist, Stalwart Aven, Unholy Hunger, and Jessian Thief, which is actually 4 pretty good choices. Usually when in doubt, you just go for the removal spell. Naturalist is a pretty awesome one though. I always say it, but why not say it again? Suppression Bonds and Claustrophobia are some primo Tier 1 removal in this format, and Naturalist being an out for them is absolutely significant and powerful. Very powerful. I have no color preferences in this format whatsoever. I've really enjoyed all the colors. I guess that's not true. I've had the most success with blue-green, but I'm trying to say I don't have a preference in that I'll play anything and I'm not sad with anything. I think I'm going to go Naturalist over Unholy Hunger. I think Hunger's pretty awesome, but Naturalist has some more... The fact that it's like a win con plus get rid of some removal spells just really makes it super powerful in my mind. Follow-up pick. Rock Smaller is on color with green, and it's good. I don't think it's as good as Patron. It's probably equally as good as Knightly Valor. And Reef Soul is great cheap removal spell, but I don't know if I want to take it here. I mean, staying on color with Rock Smaller is fine. I don't love it, though. I kind of feel like Patron's the most bomb card here. Patron's pretty awesome, regardless of the, you know, +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. It's just a 4/4 flying for 5. That's very powerful. Usually very powerful in any format. So I'm a little tempted to take that. I definitely think that's better than Rock Smaller. It does take a white pick here, but that's okay. I'm okay taking powerful cards early on, figuring it out after that. All right, no green card I'm caring about here. There's a Lightning Javelin. There's a Cleric of the Forward Order, which is worse than Lightning Javelin, but stays on color with Patron now. And Cleric of the Forward Order is always playable. You're always going to play Cleric of the Forward Order if you're in white. It's a very good card. I actually think this card's... I underrated it at first, but I've come to like it a lot more now. 2-mana 2/2 that gains you life when it enters is very good in this format. Few people have commented how I've underrated Necromantic Summons, so I'll try and give this card a better shake in the future, but it's certainly not the pick here. So I think it's clear. Yeah, it's Cleric or Lightning Javelin in my mind. I like Lightning Javelin. I kind of liked it a lot at first, and then I liked it less, and now I kind of like it again. I guess I'm going to go removal. I kind of like just taking powerful cards early on, even though I'm taking, obviously, 3 colors right now. I think ultimately that's going to be okay. We'll get it figured out from there. Like, there's some just solid red cards in here. I think I like Thopter Engineer more than Sergeant and Gearcrafter. I do like Sergeant quite a bit, but Engineer is pretty awesome. I mean, a Crone Sergeant has better synergy with Patron, but Engineer is just really great card. I think a 1/3 body is better than a 2/1 body most of the time. Yeah, I think I like Engineer more than Sergeant. Guess that's debatable. They're probably equally strong. Okay, so no good white pick in here. We've seen a lot of Shambling Ghouls. There's a Force Mage, which would keep me in green. I do think Force Mage is worse than Shambling Ghoul. I think Aeronaut's good. Works well with our Thopter Engineer. Maybe blue-red. I do like blue. But I like Shambling Ghoul a lot. And like I said, that's a... We saw like 3 back-to-back Shambling Ghouls, which could mean maybe black-red. Possibly black-red is a thing. Yeah, Force Mage would just keep me on target with the Naturalist, which I think is okay. I'm going to go Ghoul here. I think it's slightly more exciting than Aeronaut. All right, Crow and Sergeant is pretty excellent, so we'll pick that up here. Anything else of note? Yeah, Husk is going to be pretty awesome if we do end up in the black-red plan, but Sergeant is too much better than Husk in a vacuum where I just want to take that. Okay, well, Subterranean Scout works very well with Sergeant, and there's really nothing else super exciting in here, so we'll take the Scout. 2 mana, 2 power guys are pretty good in this format. All right, good. So some pretty late black picks. Deadbridge Shaman's pretty excellent, so I think we're just going to slam that over Alchemist Vial, which is the only other real pick to consider in there. It's a late Celestial Flare. It's kind of surprising. Maybe I'd take the Flare. I mean, I don't know how it went that late. Patron and Conclave Naturalist in my mind are equally strong, so I could go Flare or Disciple, really. Red-green and red-white are both good. I think the only color I've established that I am right now is red. The rest is up for grabs, so let's take the removal, which I think is probably equally as strong as Freka's Disciple, likely. All right, here I'm going to take Pricklebore. I do think Construct's pretty decent with the Thopter Engineer, but Pricklebore is an actual good 5-drop finisher, so we'll take that. And like I said, we're for sure red at this point, or at least I'm going to try and be red. All right, I'll take a Charging Griffin over a Macabre Waltz. If we can make white work, that would be cool. Bloodsucker is probably actually good if I do end up red-black because it's fairly aggressive. So there's a higher chance that I main deck Bloodsucker, and I'm not going to main deck Aesthetic, so I guess I will take the black card there. All right, Active Treason that late is pretty good for us, actually. Slug, not terribly excited about that. All right, I think we're likely just not going to commit to green. So the real choice is red, black, or red-white, both of which I'm happy with. I think card power-wise, we're leaning towards white. The Patron, the Flare are stronger than the Ghoul, Shaman, and Bloodsucker, I would say. Griffin's just mediocre, but playable. Okay, well, we got a Topin Freeblade, which I think we're just going to take. But there is a Fiery Impulse as well. That's actually debatable. I think the problem with passing Fiery Impulse is that I'm for sure red and I'm not for sure white. I do think Freeblade is more powerful than Impulse, but it's close. And I do think Impulse is excellent. So because we already have, well, I was going to say because we have 10 creatures already, but we're certainly going to be cutting some of these creatures once we figure out what color we are. I'm going to take the Impulse. Only, like I said, because we're for sure red, and Impulse is going to be an excellent card. I do think Freeblade is equal, if not stronger, but if I don't end up in white, it's definitely going to be a bummer pick to not have the Impulse. So there is still a legitimate chance I end up in black here, depending on what we're past. So I'm going to take the Impulse. Wow, Avaricious Dragon is actually a pretty good card. There's a Whirler Rogue in here, one color I haven't taken yet. Yeah, that's tough. I think Avaricious Dragon's fine. It's a very good card in an aggressive deck. We look like we're pretty aggressive. I think Whirler Rogue is bonkers strong, but I'm just really not sure I want to just take a bomb uncommon and then move towards that when I have good cards in a second color already. I do think Whirler Rogue is, of course, insanely strong. I'm going to take Avaricious Dragon. I've had actually pretty good experiences with this card. Usually can empty out your hand fairly easily, especially based on what we already have. So I'll take the Dragon. I think it's a pretty good card. Freeblade now seems very good. All right, I'll commit. We'll take the Freeblade. It's foil too, so it looks cool. And let's at this point just commit to red-white. And I think that's... At this point, I think that's acceptable. We have some good red cards, and our white cards are pretty good too. And this Freeblade is certainly going to help a lot, so let's take it. Wow, another Naturalist. Honored Hierarch. Actually kind of a miss here. We'll take the Cobble Brute. It's playable. It's the most playable card for us here, I think. There's a Husk if I want to go back into black, but I'm going to commit to the white. All right, I actually like Boggart Brute more than I like Tactician most of the time. I mean, if I had a bunch of dragon fodders, maybe the tactician would be better, but I don't want to go too deep white. I'm already kind of deep white, to be honest, with Flare and Patron, but we'll take the Boggart Brute. It's just a good card. A bit of a miss here. We're going to take Construct. It's fine. It's never really exciting. I like it more than most, but we're not really giving up anything for it, so I'll take it. Starfield. Isn't that worth something? It's probably more exciting than a Infectious Bloodlust anyway. It's worth a ticket. I mean, it seems like a pretty difficult card to play, especially considering we have 0 auras, but I'll take a ticket over nothing I'm going to play. Okay, I love Titan Strength. That's a late Fetid Imp. We're going to take Titan Strength anyway, though. It's a very good card, and it's very good in this deck as well. We're looking aggressive. I do think Rogue's Passage is playable too, but I actually just straight up like Titan Strength. Alright, I mean, Infectious Bloodlust is not a card I like, to be honest, most of the time, but we're not giving up anything for it. I don't think this is a Guardians deck, so we'll take it. Alright, we can go deep on Bloodlusts, I guess. Guess it's playable with Starfield too. I think we'd need quite a few auras to make the Bloodlust playable, but whatever. Alright, Heavy Infantry. Prefer to not play that. Prefer to not play the Bloodlusts either, but... Alright, we'll take on color cards for now. Alright, I mean, we certainly have a deck. We did seem to force our way into white, but I think that's going to be okay. The white cards we have are worth playing, and we're deep enough red where I don't think it's a big deal. So we don't want to play Rambler. We don't want to play Heavy Infantry. Prefer to not play Battle Priest. Everything else I'm okay with main decking. Even Active Treason, I guess, is a little bit awkward. Prefer to not play the Bloodlust, but I'll leave them in for now. I don't think they're very good. I personally am not a big fan of the aura plan in this format most of the time. Like Call the Full Moon, yeah, it's a strong card sometimes, but there's a lot of good removal in this format, and being able to play 2 spells in 1 turn isn't as difficult as you might think. Wow. This pack's a little bit of a bummer only because the off-color cards that are strong, but at least we do get a Boggart Brute, which is very good for our deck, so we'll take that. It is very good for us. It's pretty strong with the Bloodlust, too. Oh, wow. This is a pack, all right. I'm actually kind of at a loss at what to take here. I think Consul's Lieutenant is very strong, and Anointer. And there's Fodder and Lightning Javelin, too, but it's got to be a Lieutenant or a Champion. It's probably Lieutenant. Lieutenant is pretty insane. So is Anointer, though. Anointer makes it so all of your attacks are nutty good. But we have a Scout, I guess, for a Lieutenant. The problem with Lieutenant, of course, being double white, but that is an actual problem. But we're not super red intensive at all. Our only double red spell is Avaricious Dragon. I think we could probably get away with Lieutenant. Messes with our mana base a little bit. But I think Lieutenant also has some better synergy with Patron. I think I'm going Lieutenant over Anointer. That's an actual tough pick. It's a pretty difficult pick. I don't know about... It's just difficult. I don't know what I like more. Taking a Stalwart Haven here for sure. It's a great card. War Oracle's fantastic. There's also a Titan Strength. I think we're taking War Oracle, though. So we're deeper white than red at this point. I probably am going to end up running more white than red, which is a bit awkward, but it's okay. I like Titan Strength a lot, by the way, but I think War Oracle is just one of those cards that brings you back. All right, there's a Warhorn. I think we're taking Dragon Fodder. I'm not in love with the card, but we could use some more early game plays. It works well with Lieutenant. Other than that, I guess it doesn't work too well with anything. It's okay with Infectious Bloodlusts. If we end up playing those. Still would prefer not to, but... LSV, not the biggest fan of Dragon Fodder. Me, I'm okay with it. So, Seismic Elemental's pretty bonkers, so we'll take that. All right, that's our 23rd card. So I think the first one on the chopping block, probably the Infectious Bloodlust. I just don't like the card enough. I think we're looking for better value plays. I mean, granted, you play it on a dude, the dude dies, you get another one, but yeah, I mean, it's a thing. It's a sub-theme I'm willing to do. Much rather play the Scout here. I think Ram Roller's an actual thing too, but Scout's actually really good with our Lieutenant and Sergeant and Topin Freeblade, Stalwart Avon. Yeah. And it's another 2-drop, which I like. I guess technically I could cut Construct, even with the Thopter Engineer synergy. We'll take the Scout, though, for now. We don't have to cut anything yet. Skyraker Giant is just a good card, so we'll take it. At this point, I probably am legitimately getting off of the Bloodlust plan, but I don't have to make that decision yet. I think I'm going to hate an Incarnate. Seems like the strongest card remaining there. Shambling Ghoul is the best card remaining here. Mighty Leap might actually make the deck. Could do Bloodlust instead, though. Still think we take it. Mighty Leap's nice because we have some high power guys like Cobble Brute, although admittedly we might cut Cobble Brute. I'll consider Tactics in this deck. I don't think it's going to make it, though. All right, Ox, sure. Demolish, okay. Last big Tactics, all right. That's funny that in third pack someone picked a land over a Kithian's Tactics. Like, they would prefer to take a land and have someone play a Kithian's Tactics than take the Tactics, which is pretty funny. Let's figure out, yeah, we got to figure out what we're cutting here. So we need to only make 3 cuts. I'd prefer to not cut spells, I guess, because we only have 8. Seems fairly easy to cut 3 creatures. I could cut the Construct, sideboard into it. We probably have better creatures going on. Dragon Fodder is also a creature, by the way, so really we have like 19 creature cards. I'd rather play Dragon Fodder than Construct, so we can cut that. I'm okay with trying Bloodlust. I mean, turn 2 Lieutenant, turn 3 Bloodlust is pretty good. If you run 1 Bloodlust, though, it's not even worth it unless you're running both. So I will have to run both if I want to play both Bloodlusts. Maybe I could cut a Cobble Brute. It seems like the worst 4-drop. Actually, I think I actually like Cobble Brute more than Charging Griffin, especially if I'm running Mighty Leap. I'm not the biggest Charging Griffin fan, as you well know. I do think our 5-drops are all good enough to just leave in. Elemental, Pricklebore, and Patron are I actually think Pricklebore is a pretty good attacker. So maybe cut the Griffin. I think Griffin's on the fence. And prefer to not cut any 2 or 3 drops, but maybe the Cobble Brute and the Griffin can go. I still have very good creatures after that. Dragon Fodder being the worst, but I think because I have Skyraker Giant, Dragon, War Oracle, Patron, Pricklebore, Seismic Elemental, that's a nice top end, mid to late game top end. And I think our early game is actually benefits quite a bit from. I mean, Dragon Fodder admittedly is actually just not super impressive. Like, what is it good with? Like I said, it's actually okay with a Bloodlust because they end up usually having to trade or use a removal spell on one of your tokens, and then you get another one. So Dragon Fodder has good synergy with our Bloodlust plan. Other than that, nothing special. I think I actually do want to run Mighty Leap just because we have enough creatures where I want to make sure we've got some good tricks and non-creature spells. Like, our removal is actually pretty bad. We have Fiery Impulse, Celestial Flare, and Lightning Javelin, and the rest is just tricks like Titan Strength, Leap, and Bloodlust, which aren't even tricks. They're just part of our game plan. Kithian's Tactics is something I can consider. It's good at Dragon Fodder. It's good with Thopter Engineer. But overall, usually it's pretty underwhelming. All right, I think I'm just going to put these two on the chopping block and be okay with this deck. I think this deck actually looks pretty good. It's pretty aggressive. So let's combine. We don't have any fixing. So let's just add some lands here. 10-7. I don't think we want that. We actually need, I think we do 9-8. We actually need double white, whereas we really don't need double red until mid to late game. We definitely need double white early, though. Our mana base is a little bit hindered by this build. But like I said, we don't need the double red till mid to late, and we actually do need the double white pretty early. I think our mana base could hurt the deck here, but other than that, it looks pretty good to me. We've got some powerful cards. We have a nice low curve. So only things really bad about this deck, or the weakest aspects of this deck, are the mana base and light, a little bit removal light, but our creature quality is very good. So we'll see. We'll run it like this and see around one.